Hi, I'm Carol O'Mara, horticulture entomologist with Colorado State University Extension in Boulder County, Colorado. It's March now, and if you're a gardener, you might be thinking about starting seeds because you can't wait to get out in the garden. But before you go ahead and start all those seeds, take a look at some of the things that you can use in order to get them off to a great start right in your own home. A lot of times what people will do is they'll purchase these little Jiffy pellets or these peat pots. And these are wonderful for starting seedlings in. First of all, they're sterile, which is really important because you don't want your little seedlings to get any type of a fungus and damp off. But as you can see here, these seedlings are off to a great growing start, but there gets to be a little bit of this fungus called aspergillus on some of these peat pots. And when you start potting them up, you have to peel the peat pot back and away. This is fine if you want to go ahead and get them off to a little bit of a start and then put them out in your garden. There's no worries with doing this. But hand in hand with gardening comes a way of green thinking. And we have a lot of things around our house that can be repurposed for the use of starting seeds without going to all this fuss and purchasing brand new stuff. So let's take a look at what you have around the house to see what you can use in place of some of these starter items. One of the more popular items in the kitchen right now are these little single-serving Keurig coffee makers. And with it, you get these little containers that are plastic, and you stick it in the machine and you get that wonderful cup of coffee. But it turns out that these little containers also double as a really great seed starting container. Take a look at some of these little tomatoes that were started right in these little Keurigs, and you can see here how they're a perfect size to get your seedlings off to a quick start. But here's a couple of tips if you're using these. First of all, drink the coffee first so you're not wasting anything. And then what you're going to do is take your little Keurig cup and you're going to fold the top back so that your seed can get planted right inside. Dump out the coffee and then fill it with a sterile potting soil. Here's the reason why. What we have here is an example of these tomato seedlings that were started in potting soil, which is fairly neutral and it holds great moisture. And then we have these that were started in the coffee grounds that were left over from the cup of coffee that we enjoyed. They were started on the same day, weeks and weeks ago. But you can see here there's a huge difference in the amount of growth. And this is because the coffee, the grounds left over, is highly acidic. And it makes the seedlings struggle a little bit. So what you want to do is use the sterile potting soil and compost the coffee grounds so that you can turn that into a potting mix later once it's been composted down and the acid is neutralized. But if you start these in these containers, what you also want to make sure you do is to punch a small hole in the bottom for drainage. One of the biggest problems with starting seeds indoors is that most people don't realize they're drowning those little seedlings. And water management is crucial to making sure that their roots get as much oxygen as they do water in order for you to have nice, strong seedlings. So go ahead and empty this out of the coffee, like I just did here, and then punch a hole in the bottom, and you're ready to start your seedlings right in these little reusable containers. Another item that everybody's familiar with would be these egg cartons. And egg cartons, as we can see once the eggs are taken out, have perfect cells for the seedlings to get started off in. You can see they're going to be about the same size as these little Keurig containers, although the Keurig containers are slightly taller. But it doesn't really matter if you're just jump starting your seeds. You can use these containers as well. But a couple of notes on trying to use these different types of egg cartons. This one here is styrofoam, and it's excellent for standing up to the few weeks of constant moisture that starting seeds at home really will take before we can plant out. Of course, you do need to punch holes in the bottom of these different cells in order to start them so that it does drain, because styrofoam is unforgiving. And then always take the styrofoam off before you're planting your seedling in the soil, because these will not break down no matter how long you wait. Alternately, you could use an egg carton that's made of the pressed paper. That's great, but you're going to have to watch your water management on those, because after about 3 to 5 days, they have a tendency to start breaking down and become as fragile as those peat pots, so they might start to disintegrate before your seedlings are ready to go outside. But egg cartons are fantastic containers, and we can all stand to recycle those just a little more often. Another item that you might not think about when you're starting seeds at home is to reuse the containers from when you buy berries or small tomatoes at the store. These little clamshell containers are absolutely ideal trays for getting your seedlings off to a great start. First of all, they have these perforations in them, which means that your drainage holes and room for air to move in is already set up for you, and then they come in these handy little containers. All you have to do is fill it with a little sterile potting mix, sow your seeds shallowly in here, make sure your soil is slightly damp, and then you close it and it becomes an absolutely ideal little greenhouse for you to start your seeds in. And once they get up and going, well, you have all kinds of seedlings that you have matted together by their little root system, and it's time to start taking them apart. When you have your seedlings started in a big tray like this one, or like this with these lettuces here, if you're not careful, all of them are going to grow together, and the older they get, the less they like having their root systems disturbed. When they're young like this, all you have to do is just pluck them out and pot them up into bigger trays so that they have a lot more elbow room to expand into. When you go to transfer your seedlings, just grab some sticks. You can use these chopsticks, or you can use a pencil or other things if you want to. And then you want to just tease something out. All you have to do is get in there and worry it around, and you can pull your seedlings out, making sure that you take enough of the root system, and it doesn't matter if it tears just a little bit, that actually stimulates a little bit of root growth. But gently pull it out and then pot it up into another seed pot with sterile soil in it. One of the things that is an absolute no-no when you're transferring all of your seedlings is grabbing it by the stem to pull it out of these seed trays. What that does is it starts to crush the vascular system of these little seedlings, and it can actually set them back or kill them. So if you're going to be pulling them up at all, tease them out with these sticks and gently lift them by their leaves. You don't want to tear anything, but that's how you get them out. And you can have lots and lots of seedlings once you've gotten these all taken apart. That's one of the problems with being a gardener, is you want to save each and every plant. But go ahead and save the largest ones and use the other ones if you're starting these greens, these cilantro, or this lettuce. Use it in a nice little spring salad so you have something fresh to eat. As you're beginning to think about starting seeds for your spring garden, go ahead and take a look around your house to see what you can reuse. These are not the limit on what you can use in the house, but make sure everything is as clean and sterile as possible. Clean them out and then go ahead and wash them in a very dilute solution of bleach to water. You really only want a few drops of bleach in a gallon of water, and then rinse it at least 3 times, because bleach can be really lethal to seedlings. But make sure these containers are as clean as possible. And then have fun recycling things around your house to start your seedlings in. But above all, go ahead and get them out into the garden as soon as the weather warms up to where they can stand it, because what they really need is room to grow and a lot of sunlight. I'm Carol O'Mara, helping you garden.